You know, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that my ability to volunteer becomes more of an important part of my daily existence. And the reason why I wanted to do this video is because, recently in Hawaii there were those really bad floods. And it's just so amazing to see the volunteerism that's coming out. I mean, it's not surprising in Hawaii, that kind of ohana and that spirit to help your neighbors and then businesses that are giving and stuff. But at the same token, I mean, the genesis of me wanting to do this video just kind of came on the heels of, volunteerism. And it had to do with, I've seen quite a few videos of elderly people who feel that they're transparent, they're invisible. Nobody sees them. They feel invisible in the world. And sure, I think, the world is moving on. And I think if we allow ourselves to sit around and wait to be recognized, if that's what our desire is to be engaged, because sometimes there are volunteers that go out and will talk to older people, just to engage and be a part of their lives and stuff. But I also think that one of the most important things that we could do as we get older is, volunteerism. And that doesn't mean necessarily just for elderly who might be feeling transparent or alone or something. It's also young people, people who feel that maybe they don't have, a life mission of sorts. And I've done enough volunteerism in my life and participated in enough volunteer organizations, which I still do, different lodges, different nonprofits. You guys know that I used to be an entertainer for children's hospitals. Those are mostly 90% nonprofits. How do we go out there and we engage, and the re-engagement of us engaging ends up to be very beneficial. This is my experience. I'm not saying that, in order to get yourselves to be seen, if you feel isolated, especially if you're older, you might not be able to move a lot. You might not, sorry, I got mosquitoes going on here. You might not be able to do a lot of things. Like what I was doing, which you saw was, me helping digging out this area, at the botanical gardens. And, at that morning, actually, I woke up and I was like, I don't know if I should go and all that. And what am I going to do? But what am I going to do all day? Let me put myself to work. And that was kind of hard work. But at the end of the day, I felt my body's pain felt justified and I felt invigorated, physically for doing that work. But then emotionally, just by being there and knowing that what I'm doing is helping, one of the departments, the cultural department there. And so, and it doesn't have to always be physical. Volunteerism could be volunteering to sit with people and talk story, volunteering to be in a line and checking things in. So if you can't lift and you can't do things, there's so many different ways to volunteer. But as far as like I said, the genesis of this video was coming across a handful of videos of elderly people feeling that they don't fit in anymore, that they're invisible. And for myself, I don't come from that angle. I don't know in what and how deep that emotion is for those elderly. But for me, if I did not participate a minimum of X amount of hours per week, or anything of that nature, even if it's a disaster call to action, it doesn't matter. I feel like I could slip into that mode of feeling invisible and all that, because the rest of the world is going on a million miles an hour. A lot of us, by the standard of how the world functions, we're at the other end of the rainbow and we're just chilling, and we don't move as fast, we don't think as fast maybe, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, my quickening of that emotion is to go out and just be a part of the community somehow, somehow, some way. Neighbors, help them, do something, I don't know. But yeah, that's my journey. And I think until the day that my body cannot do it, I think, I will always, that's my joy. And it's selfless. It's not like I do it so that I can get people saying, oh, thank you for doing it. It's like, oh no, I felt like I was a part of something, so anyhow, you guys have an epically wonderful day. Remember, count the wins. That's my favorite saying, and if you're still here, always type in, I'm still here. All right, guys, take care. Aloha.